The glorious 12th. It's an iconic date in the Fieldsports calendar. It's the start of the grouse shooting season. Unique to the British Isles, the red grouse lives wild on uplands. Its fast flight, the gorgeous scenery in which it lives and its delicious flavour all contribute to it being Britain's most sought-after game bird. And 2017 is officially going to be a good, if not a great year for grouse shooting.
I think that on some of the moors they'll have a lovely season. On other moors where the weather has badly affected them, then they'll be shooting far less, but that's the nature of shooting a wild bird.
Yeah, we're getting good reports from some parts of the country, less good from others. North of England, numbers seem to be very high. Really good day shooting gone on over the last weekend, last few days. Scotland, numbers looking maybe not quite so good. We've heard of a few days that have been walked up rather than driven because of the grouse numbers. But you know, that's not a bad thing to hear. That shows how sustainable we are. It shows that when the numbers aren't there, we change our practice because this is proper, sustainable wild harvest.
Andrew is from the Game and Wildlife Conservation Trust, which provides a lot of the science that backs up grouse shooting's claim to be good for conservation. Liam's work for the Countryside Alliance in London puts him in touch with Westminster and the political debate about hunting and shooting. And there is BASC, the largest shooting membership organisation, which produced a film last week about grouse counting in Yorkshire.
The last 2 seasons haven't been great for us here. We've had a lot of cold weather in May the last 2 years, and it's killed a lot of the young chicks. We do look at the counts, we will compare them, but this year I think we are going to have a good year. I've seen best numbers we've seen in, I'd say, 4 seasons, to be fair.
The 21st century has brought technology to the grouse moor, and that is helping bird numbers, especially Meditech. The bird hatches in the late spring and early summer, and the chicks easily die of disease and bad weather. You can't vaccinate a wild bird, but you can put out medicated grit.
Well, the important thing to remember is the work that's been undertaken here at the Game and Wildlife Conservation Trust has allowed the introduction of things like medicated grit, which has removed the boom and bust cycle of worm burdens in birds. So actually moors are able to shoot a more even and constant bag of birds, which tries to remove some of the economic uncertainty in the low numbers in those years. What it will do is stop these big 7-year cycles where the numbers would build up and then dramatically crash to very low numbers, where there'll be no shooting for a number of years before slowly it builds back up again 7 years later.
All this management makes grouse an expensive bird. Shoot days are priced at up to £200 per brace of grouse dead. Want to host a 100 brace day? You can pay up to £20,000. Want to buy a grouse moor? The birds have a capital value of around £2,000 per brace based on a 5-year average. So, a moor that produces 5 100 brace days in a season can be valued at £1 million. They don't often come to the market. Rural surveyor Carter Jonas is selling a lease on Rwabon Moor in North Wales, 7,000 acres with a gamekeeper's house. And where there is money, there is class war, and a march in London led by BBC television presenter Chris Packham called Crush Cruelty.
This glorious 12th has been very different to last year. Last year we had the ban-driven grouse shooting petition going through. It was doing quite well, and that's what everyone fixated on. This year, the anti-shooting campaign has really faltered, and they need to find something else to pull out the locker. And essentially what they've done is they have hitched their campaign to other animal rights issues. So that's why when we had this Crush Cruelty march, what we saw was a march against a whole range of animal rights issues, rather than having something specifically fixated on grouse shooting. And this sent the media into a bit of a spin. So myself and my colleagues at the Alliance, we spent the whole weekend, so from Friday certainly through to early stages of Sunday, talking to The Observer, The Guardian, Telegraph, Times, Channel 4 News. And what they wanted to know was, what is this march about and how does it affect shooting? And of course the reason they were interested was because Chris Packham was there. BBC essentially lending their megaphone to this animal rights march. So we spent the whole weekend explaining to these journalists the benefits of grouse shooting and why we actually really do object to the BBC giving Packham this platform to attack us and what we do.
As a result of work by the Alliance and others, Channel 4 News dropped its story about the march on the 12th of August 2017. And so the 12th and the grouse remain glorious. It's a good date for us at Fieldsports Channel too. It's the date we launched Fieldsports Britain in 2009, and we have spent a lot of the intervening years putting up films on the public space that is YouTube, showing how our sport is good for conservation, good for wildlife and farming, and good fun. Lots of the footage we use in this item comes from a film we made last year called A Year in the Life of a Grouse Moor, and you can click on the link in the top right of this screen or in the description to watch that film.